UNICEF Goodwill ambassador and actress Priyanka Chopra has called on people to support the Chibok Girls who were released by BOKO Haram in a prisoner exchange. The Bollywood and Hollywood star visited Zimbabwe and South Africa. She has appealed to Nigerians not to stigmatise the girls.
सिर्फ छोटी मोटी चोटें आई हैं आपको. काश आपके पति की किस्मत भी आप जैसी हो.
She's a mega star of the silver screen, but it is her work with children that brought her to the continent.
के बाद उनकी जान को कोई खतरा नहीं होगा.
As news of the release of some of the kidnapped Chibok girls are sinking in, Chopra made a passionate plea to the world to help the girls reintegrate into society and allow them to follow their dreams.
For those girls, they're examples of bravery around the world, and they need to be, confidence needs to be built into them so that they can stand on their own feet all over again and not feel blamed or responsible, because that is another thing that society does to our own girls. It was your fault. You must have called for it. You must have asked for it. And those stigmas, and we as people can talk about it, but when you actually go into the grassroots, when you go into those homes, where you go into communities, that's what happens to girls. They get stigmatized, and then they get isolated, and then they don't believe that their lives are worth living. And we need to remind those communities that that cannot happen.
She also commended India's Supreme Court for upholding the death sentences against 4 convicts who gang raped a 23-year-old trainee in New Delhi in 2012.
She told that policeman, she implored him, please do not spare the men who did this to me. Those were her last words. That was her dying declaration. And day before yesterday, the Supreme Court in India, and I'm proud of it, though I'm not somebody who's for it, but it's such a heinous crime that it deserves to be made an example. The Supreme Court of India awarded them with the death sentence, all 4 of them. One of them was a juvenile, so he was let out in 3 years, and another one killed himself in jail. But why that happened was because the young people or people of the country walked out on the streets and refused to go back home. They stood in vigils, they held candles, they held banners and said, you know what, Nirbhaya is my daughter too. And every child that is violated like this is your daughter too. So we need to be so socially aware, because when we come together as a people, that's when change happens.
Turning to South Africa and Zimbabwe, Chopra had this to say about her visit.
We need to care more about the children of the world, because it is on us. It is not on their parents who don't have the money to send them to school, to give them food, who may not be alive, children who are deprived from attention, who get into trouble because of neglect. It is on us as a society who have so much to be able to reach out to these children and make sure that they get a lot more than they are getting, that they get what they deserve.
She also called for increased support for child victims of sexual violence. Sophie Mukwena, SABC News, Johannesburg.